boring you or talking over you. Of course I'm not. So just keep that in mind. Just to review, guys, on the marketing workshops. So what we covered yesterday. And in simple terms, guys, and a lot of businesses don't get this. You're selling three things: your feature, your advantage, and your benefit. And in simple terms, first of all, what is it? So what are you selling? Now, guys, often say, well, Sir Michael, it's obvious. Is it? Is it obvious to the customer? That's really what we're saying. Be very clear. Then the advantage, what does it do, or why might I choose you, depending on what you're selling. But the key thing is, guys, when I buy from you, what's in it for me? What do I get? How am I better off? And we just looked at some simple examples. Sorry, didn't go on for me. Some simple examples with insurance. Why did I choose insurance? We all know what insurance is. And the more you know something, the more difficult it is. The feature, what is it? Insurance. The advantage, we're covered. But the benefit is that peace of mind. We can now relax. Should the worst happen, we hope it doesn't, at least we know we're covered. We then looked at 4 simple items: a light bulb, a low energy light bulb, fiber optic internet, and Amazon. And I would just say again, guys, the thing here was a light bulb, the advantage is it gives light, but it's what the light does for us. That's why we buy it. That's why we want it. Cleverly, guys, you didn't fall into the trap on the second one. Sometimes when we've gone through the light bulb and we say it gives light, when we talk about the low energy light bulb, the voice in our head says, but sure, it's obvious. So we move on. No, it gives light. It's important that the customer knows what you're doing. That's really what we're saying, guys. Look at promoting your business, or how do you promote your business? And again, the checklist, I'm not going to read it all out, guys, but it's important to look at, what creates the need for you. Is there something, a timing, an event, those kind of things? Where are customers? Ideally, do we know where our customers are? That makes it much easier to reach them. What do customers think of as a solution? Remember, guys, you're starting a new business. Your customers are currently getting by okay. So what are they thinking of as a solution? Where do your customers go, guys? That's where you need to be. Wherever your customer goes to search, that's where you need to be, ideally with 5-star reviews. And keep in mind, what proof or reassurance does your customer need? Now, guys, I know the information comes at you fairly quick, and I believe it or not, I do try and pace it out. So some things I leave for the next week, or the next workshop rather. So we spoke yesterday briefly about getting 5-star reviews, and I suggested that you ask people to write the review for you. But that makes the assumption that you're in business, that they have something to review. And if you're starting a business, what do you do? Because you're not in business, so it's more difficult. And what I say is this, guys: if you're starting a business and you don't have anything to review, I would ask people to review you. So, for example, let's say I am literally starting as a window cleaner. Well, I can't ask friends to leave reviews that I'm a great window cleaner. Haven't started yet. I would ask people to leave reviews along the lines of, worked with Michael in the past, found him a great guy, very dependable. That type of thing. So you can get people to review you or vouch for you. If you were looking for a window cleaner and you saw me and you saw a review saying, great guy, very dependable, no problem, you'll at least consider me. Okay, it doesn't matter that I'm not in business. So if you don't have a business yet, you can still get reviews, but they are very important, guys. Again, going through that with the window cleaner, lots of it was of no help to him at all. It's not a case that every question gives you of value, but when he looked through it, he just picked those 4 things. He's going to focus on answering the question, if I could find someone trustworthy. That's what he felt people wanted in getting a window cleaner. Where do customers go? He can't afford to Google it. The friends we discussed yesterday is very hit and miss. So Facebook and ads in the local paper. And the proof of reassurance, he's going to ask people to review him, to say he's a dependable guy. So again, nice and simple. Now, marketing in action, guys. I wanted to condense the marketing workshops. This morning we are moving on to finance and those kind of things, but I just wanted to tie it up. Now, I'm not asking you to agree. I'm just saying in the last 2 workshops on marketing, we focused on a number of things, but we could reduce those down to customers. Who are they? Just in general. And then we looked at key customer segment. Who is our ideal customer? We asked the question, where is the customer? We looked at how to reach the customer. And we looked at feature, advantage, and benefit. Guys, I'm not teasing anybody. I hope that's all clear. It's just what we've covered. Now, 2 businesses built their business on just answering those questions. That is the marketing that these 2 businesses used. Now, these people had weeks and months to think about these questions. We're going to do it in maybe 5-10 minutes tops, guys. So they had an advantage. So it's not important that you get the answer, but it is important that you look at what their thinking was, or just how to use these questions. Let's take these questions. Like 1 page, guys. Let's put these on 1 page. So again, that's just what we had on the previous one. Customers, key customer segment, where is the customer, how to reach the customer, feature, advantage, and benefit. Now, that is the order you would lay them out in, but the answers may come to you differently. You may jump down to feature, for example, or so you don't have to go top to bottom. You can go down, back up, jump around. But let's look at 2 real businesses who use this. The first one was based in County Meath, so it's quite local. Now, his business, very simply, was a boarding kennel for dogs. He had worked in a vet's, and most vets' practice will offer a boarding kennel. He did not have land, but he had a very big back garden, very big, and he lived in a rural area. So he thought, why don't I put some kennels in my own garden and offer the service? I enjoy doing it, whatever. So, brand new start, what does he do? Well, the first thing he does is ask himself, who are the customers for a boarding kennel for dogs? So the customers for a boarding kennel for dogs. Samantha, will you risk giving me an answer? Who do you think? Who do you think would use a boarding kennel for dogs?
People that own dogs.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, they must own dogs. Guys, this may sound very obvious, but it's no. So straight away, we've cut out lots of people. So again, we don't overcomplicate this. No, it's okay. So people with dogs will use my kennel. I thought, okay. Rather than saying people with dogs, can I dig down a little bit deeper? Okay. So he thought about it and he thought, well, okay, someone who wants to use a boarding kennel for dogs is possibly people who own a dog and are going on holiday. They would use it. So he thought a bit more. Thought, well, you know what? Maybe people who want daycare, a lot of people, if they're out at work, don't like the dog left at home on its own. They want someone to put the dog during the day. Okay, anybody else? Yeah, well, okay, how about maybe people who own a dog who become ill? So suddenly, you know, they had the dog, but they're ill now. They need somebody to look after the dog. So he at 3, he thought he had enough. Now, guys, I'm not asking you to agree. I'm not telling you this is perfect. I'm just saying this is what he used. So people who own a dog and are going on holiday, people who own a dog and who want daycare, people who own a dog and become ill. Now, a danger in business is trying to please everybody. So he thought, from his selfish point of view, which one of those would be the best? Okay. Now, guys, I'm not asking you, he had weeks to think of this, just for a moment, for yourself. So which would be the easiest, or the nicest, or the most money, whichever way you want to word it?
Probably holiday, people that go to holiday.
Why, Erica?
Because that would be bulk night staying in kennels. And they probably go every year or a few times a year, and they will keep come back.
Well, Erica, I hate saying well done. On Zoom, it can sound condescending. I mean well done. Erica, you're right, yes.
That's too dumb.
Here was his genuine thinking, okay? He thought, okay, people who are ill, well, they don't know how long they want the dog in for. And would they be able to pay me? You know, being ill can be expensive, and can you really... If someone doesn't pay you, what do you do? Say I'm going to hold on to your dog, and then the bill gets higher. Well, they couldn't afford the first bill, so the bill gets higher, they can't afford the second bill. So he just saw lots of trouble there. Then he thought, okay, well, daycare. Well, with daycare, people come in the morning and they come in the evening. So they drop the dog in the morning, they pick the dog up in the evening. That means every day I have to meet them, maybe talk to them. And maybe 4 or 5 might come together. If we just take the 9 to 5 guys, okay? So maybe around between 8 and half 8, I have lots of people coming, and half 5 and 6, and maybe someone works late, so I have someone at half 7, or, you know, all those kind of things. So we just thought, daycare, yeah, it could be difficult. So we thought, I think my easiest customer is people who own a dog and are going on holiday. That's what he thought. I'm just asking you guys just to see his thinking. Not agree with him, but just see his thinking. Now, we might think, job done, Michael. People who own a dog and go on holiday. That's too broad. Okay, this, and I say this properly, this is where the grown-ups come into the room. People who own a dog and are going on holiday, that's not enough. We need to look further. Not everybody who's going on holiday is the same. It could be someone doing an overnight, or a weekend, or a one-off, or 1 week. So we need to try and do something to try and break this down. So, after much thought, guys, prepare to be underimpressed. What he thought was, I won't try and tackle everybody who goes on holiday. I'll just try and tackle people who book holidays at a travel agent. I warned you, be underimpressed, guys. That's what we thought. That they're the kind of people I'm going to try and target.
Why?
Sorry, Samantha, was that to me or somebody else?
No, to you. Why? I wonder why.
Well, Samantha, if you can bear with me, you'll see why in a moment.
I don't have patience, Michael.
I know, Samantha, but you're going to have to, because on this, because guys, once he got this, the rest kind of became easier. Now, if I was to ask you, people who own a dog and are going on holiday, give me a key segment, that's a tough question, isn't it? Seriously. If I say to you, and here's a question, He's going to target people who book holidays at a travel agent. Where is the customer?
On holidays.
No.
In the travel agents.
Yes, Saoirse, in the travel agents. Think of it, guys. That's where he's targeting them. And once he knows who they are, he can say, well, okay, I know if you're going in to book a holiday in a travel agents, that's where I want to get you. So where was the customer? In the travel agents. Now, guys, don't complicate this. How to reach the customer. So how to reach the customer. So how would you reach them?
Leave the cards in travel agency.
Erica, well done. Well done. Guys, don't complicate this. Where is customer? Promote in travel agents. That is literally it. Sorry, that's why that's happened. Promote in travel agents. We don't need to complicate this. So the feature he was promoting was a family-run boarding kennels to look after your dog. Think of it, guys. You family-run kennels look after your dog. The advantage: a kennel recommended by your travel agent and with great reviews. And the benefit, guys, he could offer: book a safe kennel now and get your holiday sorted. I know, guys, guys, okay, I'm guessing you might say, is that it? But think of it, guys. A lot of thought went into this. You had to think long and hard about it. You didn't sit down and think, okay, who will I sell to? So just to, guys, not to drag this out, what he did was he got some little post. He got things designed properly. He didn't do it himself. He got some little posters. He got some postcards and some business cards. He looked up on Google all the travel agents he could find within a circle of his house. He thought, okay, you might go to one in Cork. They're going to fly from Dublin, but no, he'll use the travel agents within a reasonable distance of his own home. He went, and guys, what he said to me was, he picked travel agents. He was going to go into one. He went to his first travel agents and he walked up and down outside for half an hour, thinking of all the reasons why he shouldn't go in. Too early, too quiet, too busy, whatever. But in the end, he went in. He said he got a very warm reception. Because, guys, look at it this way. A travel agent is trying to sell a holiday. The customer likes the holiday and wants to book it, but thinks, oh, I need to get the dog sorted. I'll come back to you. And once they come back to you, or say they come back to you, that's the danger. So he was doing a service for the travel agents. And that's why they were very keen. Now, they wouldn't give him any space on the wall, because wall space, guys, I should guess, in a travel agent is very valuable. But they would take his cards and his postcards. So they were very keen to have him. So again, guys, very simple, just those questions. Now, let's look briefly at another business. Let's look at a funeral service. And before you say a word, I've heard every joke going on this. Please, please, please believe me. So, same questions, guys. It worked for a boarding kennel for dogs. It worked for a funeral service. This one's very interesting. This was in the UK. I'll give you more details at the end. So, customers for a funeral service. To try and keep the humour at the lowest level I can, I'll suggest some customers. Okay?
Live ones.
Well, Samantha, good point. You're laughing, but good point. You might think, well, people who are deceased. that's the funeral service. You might think the family of people who are deceased, the live ones, as Samantha called them. Now, guys, just take a moment. That's where your obvious thinking might go. I'm not pushing you, but but there's a difficulty there. So he pushed further. So who else would use the funerals? Sorry, Samantha?
The old.
No. Well done. Now, my wording's a little bit different. People who are thinking about their funeral.
People that's got one foot in the grave, Michael.
Well, yes, but there's one more thing, Samantha. One more thing you didn't add in.
Wow.
Which is coming next. Hold on it. I know, patience, but hold on. So, guys, to state the obvious, people who are deceased, how do you sell to them? To be blunt about it. And the family of people who are deceased, well, you can't really knock on someone's door and say, looking for a funeral, or it's not going to work, and time is a big pressure. So people who were thinking about their funeral, but guys, this is just business. People thinking about their funeral, absolutely, yeah. And the key segment of those, or the key one we'll take from those, because there are lots of people thinking about it, but the segment he wanted, unashamedly, and have money. He just
Start paying off your funeral now.
Exactly, Samantha, on the button. The button. Guys, I know that we're just talking business here. So, we have people thinking about their funeral and have money. Mm-hmm. So we thought, okay, where is the customer? Okay, nobody say nursing homes. Okay, we're not going there. Walk around not feeling so well. Here's my card, kind of thing. It's not going to work. Okay, it's not going to work. So we thought it was okay. You might think, well, doctors, no, they're not. They are not going to have anything to do with you there at all. In reality, we thought, well, you know what? Let's keep this very, very simple. At home, you'd be reading, watching daytime TV. That's what we thought. Okay. Now, guys, just take a moment. The moment he said he was going for people who worry about their funeral and have money, the rest became easier. It became easier to say, where are they? How to reach the customer? Adverts in seniors magazines or TV ads. Now, it was seniors magazines at first he went for. So, I'll say what... Sorry, sir.
He could have done aftermath.
He got... Okay, yeah. Not feeling so well on the outside. And again, guys, his feature, advantage and benefit, we may not agree with him, but what he said was this. The feature, a trusted professional funeral service. That's what he's offering. So we know what it is. The advantage, an easy, stress-free way to organize your funeral. And the benefit, and here's what he sold, guys. This is, and I'll tell you who he was in a moment. Your funeral, your way, guaranteed. A guy called Howard Hudson. He called it Dignity with Destiny. So if you imagine the voice, guys, you know what? Are you worried about having dignity with destiny? And that's what he sold. Prepaid funerals to people who had money. Whatever hymn they wanted, whatever readings they wanted, timings, literally, if you wanted to be buried at sea, absolutely. If you wanted to be buried in a wicker casket, whatever you wanted, he would do for you. Why? Because you're paying for it. This wasn't a charity. You were paying for it. And these were not cheap funerals. These were expensive, prepaid funerals. But dignity with destiny. Your funeral, your way. The guy Howard, he inherited the family business. which he didn't want. In his own words, he wanted to be very, very rich. And that's why he launched his Dignity with Destiny. Now, the obvious thing is, guys, just to keep this simple, let's say, now I don't know where he was based actually, but let's just say he's based in Portsmouth. That's down the bottom of England. And somebody in Inverness, that's way up the top, books a funeral. But what would he do? Well, he would subcontract. He would arrange with the undertaker in Inverness to do it, and he would give the sheet on what they had to do. You may say, wouldn't that be expensive? Yeah, but you're paying for it, not him. What if somebody books a funeral and doesn't use the service for many years? What happens then? Well, he's had your substantial money for a number of years to use and invest. So he became, guys, if you're familiar with the Sunday Times rich list, he made it into the top 30 the top 30 richest people in the UK. Let's be honest, guys, in the top 30, it doesn't really matter where you are, you know, you're doing very okay. So I just make the point, guys, just one more time, look at those questions. Nothing beyond you, nothing difficult, nothing, you know, out of the ordinary. Good, simple questions, but they take thinking about. And once you crack them one by one, the rest follows on. That's the marketing, guys, concluded. We'll move on to this workshop. Now, just a very brief point, guys. I did say this in workshop 1. There's must know, good to know, and just be aware of. This morning, there's 1 or 2 things you just need to be aware of. You do not need to remember them, okay? I'll point those out to you. So if I'm going over some things a little bit quickly, it's because you just need a very, very overall view. So guys, let's talk about tax. It's something that tends to, I suppose, concern us. Is that fair? Or, you know, that we would worry about, maybe, whatever. In simple terms, guys, there's a tax you'll have to deal with. Okay, you cannot ignore this. As a tax on income. So your income. Now, it must be dealt with, but it could be zero. So you might owe no tax. And in year 1, that isn't unusual. But guys, here's the point to remember. Even if you had 0 sales, let's say you started a business. Let's say you started a business as a window cleaner, and you're going to go out next Monday morning and start your business. You've done all, you're registered, whatever. And Sunday night, a friend rings you, and they offer you a job. It's short term, but it's very well paid. And you think, well, gosh, you know, I'm not going to turn down this very well paid job. I'm going to stick with it. And when it's over, you know, and it's not going to be forever, I'll go back to window cleaning. But the job you have drags on, and so you don't clean any windows for a year. So you have no income. So you think, well, listen, I didn't actually sell anything. I literally did nothing. You still must make a return, as they call it. You simply tell revenue, I started the business, but I had 0 sales. That's not unusual, guys. When you file a return, then that's fine. If you don't tell revenue, or you don't file a return, what happens is revenue will contact you, believe you me. You'll go through the process, and you'll tell them you had no sales. They will accept that, but they'll fine you for having a late return. So even if you have no sales, guys, you still must make the return. Now it's called... Sorry, Sarah. Sorry.
Is that, just to clarify, so if you've registered your business on the CRO, okay?
Yeah.
And then this tax return thing, do you need to do that if you've just named your business on a CRO, or is that after you've registered with the revenue?
Sorry, Sarah, I should have made that clear. Sorry. No. Now it will come. I have a slide later, but the 28th of the 31st of October. The 31st of October is the day, and that's the day when you must have filed your return. You can do it earlier or on that day, it doesn't matter, but the 31st of October is the date when you submit and tell revenue you've traded or you haven't traded.
So you have to do that,
Yes.
like that. Okay, because I was under the impression that you could register your business on the CRO and then you didn't have to do anything unless you're registered with revenue, the business with revenue. Is that not correct?
No. When you register with CRO,
Yeah.
okay, the only thing you are doing, and I'm being literal here, is saying, I might do something in the future, or I might not, and I'm going to use this name. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
There's no obligation on you whatsoever. It's totally separate. It's only when you register with revenue.
Okay.
When they ask you, what date did you start? Whatever date you write down, could be in the past or the future, that's when the clock starts.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Guys, can I just digress for a moment? I try and give real world advice, okay? Now, I always say obey the law. I'm not suggesting anything, and you ever do anything outside the law. It's easier. But here's my strong advice to you. If you're thinking of starting a business, okay, you have your idea in mind, do not register with revenue. Go out and try to get a customer. I'm being literal. Somebody to take money and hand it to you. Guys, until that person takes money and gives it to you, you do not have a business. You have a hobby. And I'm not being cruel saying that. It's when the first transaction happens, that's when you have a business. Now, if I was starting a business to employ 10 people and whatever, yes, I would register that before I started. But for anybody starting as a sole trader, just with yourself, get customers first and get customers who have paid you. Remember, the revenue form asks you, when did you start your business? It doesn't ask you when will you start. It makes the assumption that you've gotten at least one customer. Because many people, guys, have an idea and they open the door, so to speak, and nobody buys. Nobody. They've misjudged. If you haven't registered, you can feel very sorry for yourself, but just carry on. If you've registered, you've started the clock. So just to repeat, guys, nothing happens until you register with revenue. The date you give revenue, that is the date when things start. Do not register until you have your first customer. You'll have no, guys, think about it for a moment. If nobody pays you, what tax do you owe? Seriously, no one's given you anything. No one's given you any money. You don't owe any tax. You couldn't. You haven't taken money in. So again, guys, and no apology for repeating, my strong advice, get the customer first. And a customer means somebody has literally given you money, and only then think about registering. Sorry, that became a slight rant there. I didn't mean it to be. Guys, I've dealt with people in the past who've registered, done everything, blah, 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 family reasons or circumstance, they couldn't progress or whatever. and then they have to tell revenue and deal with things, and they didn't have to. If they didn't register, they wouldn't have to do all that. Guys, you might need to register for value-added tax. I'll explain that in a moment. That's just a tax on your sales. You might need to register for PRSI if you're going to employ somebody. I'll come to that again in a moment. Don't worry. But we'll just take these step by step. So, first of all, guys, when you register as a sole trader, the income tax rates are 20 and 40%. Exactly the same as if you worked for somebody else. There isn't a different tax rate for sole trader or running your own business. Okay? Now, so sole trader or window cleaner pays tax at 20 or 40%. If you form a company, a limited company, remember that's that cardboard box that is now in front of you on your table, you pay tax at 12.5%. So you can see, guys, 12.5 versus 40, big difference. Now, just to clarify, if you read some guides, they will tell you it's 15%. It's only 15% for huge companies, and I mean huge companies. It's 12.5%. That's the tax on your profit or the money you make. So just on that, guys, are we okay? Just on, I will explain all these. Erica, have you a question?
Yes, yes. Can I ask? Let's say me. I am employed full time, 39 hours. So I'm making wages already, and I, as a side business, I'm registered for the cleaning, and I already a little bit doing of cleaning. So in my case, probably would be more beneficial to register as a business instead of sole trader, because I be taxed on top of my wages. So I will go to different brackets, isn't it? The income.
No. Just hold that question for a moment. Just for a moment. I just want to check. Sorry, I'll try again in English. Eric, if you bear with me, in 2 slides' time, I'm going to answer that very question, because it's a good question. Guys, first of all, in business, it is this simple. Money in. Sorry. For a sole trader, money in, that's your sales. Less money out. So what expenses did you have, or what did you spend on your business? So money in, less money out, and what's left is taxable. What you pay yourself is not an expense. So what you pay yourself will come from the what's left. So as a sole trader, guys, it's money in, less money out, and what's left, you pay tax on the remainder. Now, we don't pay tax on every penny. Everybody has a tax-free allowance. Now, it depends, guys, on are you married, single, have you dependents? I can't give you what the level is, but you do get a tax-free allowance. You can earn up to that level tax-free. From the top of that level, guys, I'm just picking a figure here out of thin air, okay? Let's say it was €1,000. So up to €1,000, you do not pay tax. From €1,000, so not below, from 1,000 up to 44,000, you'll pay tax at 20%, and only earnings above 44,000, so 44,001 and above, you'll be taxed at 40%. So that's how the tax rates work. Now, the good question was, supposing I have a job and I run my own business, what happens? In your job, you will pay your tax as you earn. So your employer will handle your tax for you. As a sole trader, at the end of the year, you will submit your earnings. We'll come to that in a moment. And you'll tell revenue how much you earned. Now, to work out your tax rate, revenue will take how much did you earn from your job and add that to how much you earned from your business. They will not tax you twice. You won't pay tax on what the job you have with somebody else, you won't pay tax twice. They just add them together to see, are you above or below 44,000? That's all they use it for. So earnings are separate. Your sole trader earnings are taxed totally separately, but yes, both are added together to get your tax rate. Now, as regards forming a company, if you can bear with me, I'm going to come to that separately, and I'll tell you how to know when to form a company. So I don't want to jump, but we will come to it, I promise. But that's just a basic thing, guys. Now, as I mentioned, the 31st of October is D-Day. Okay, that's when tax must be dealt with. Now, my strong advice is get a bookkeeper or accountant to do this for you. Anything they charge you is tax deductible. I'm just picking a figure. Let's supposing they charge you €350, that's tax deductible straight away. And second, and more importantly, they are more aware of what deductions to make, what you're allowed, what you can claim for. And I can't offer you any proof of this, but it is true. If you get a bookkeeper or accountant to file your tax return, revenue won't bother with you. There's no point. Your bookkeeper or accountant has signed your accounts, and they know that signing your accounts is a big deal. You can't cross your fingers. When you sign the accounts, you've signed the accounts. So especially if you get an accountant to do your accounts for you, you won't get any trouble. So get a bookkeeper. Guys, any of you who drive, okay? Any of you who drive a car, I'm suggesting you don't service your own car. You get someone to do it for you. It's cheaper. It's easier. You could watch a YouTube video on how to do it, whatever. You could go to a night class, literally, but we don't. We pay someone to do it for us. And for your accounts, it is much cheaper and easier to get a bookkeeper or accountant to do it for you. But October 31st, guys, just here's one for your memory. Seriously. Irrespective of your sales, be they 0 or 10 million, once you've registered with revenue, you must file a return on the 31st of October. So what can you claim for? Well, I'm not going to read out every one here, guys, but this one. If you buy something for resale in your business, that's fully tax deductible. So if I'm buying and selling cardboard boxes, absolutely, that's fully tax deductible. If you buy things for your business but they're not for resale, let's say you bought, a stapler or stationery, whatever, yeah, that's fully tax deductible. Wages, not your own, if you employ somebody. If you're using a machine or a vehicle in your business, the running costs, so the servicing, that's totally tax deductible. Any accountancy fees, yeah, tax deductible. What I say is this, guys, any expense in your business, if you can say to yourself with your hand on your heart, I spent that on my business or because of my business or to help my business, so hand on heart, then normally it's tax deductible. If you can't put your hand on your heart, it probably isn't. In reality, it probably isn't. So was that expense created by or for your business? If the answer is yes, it's tax deductible. If the answer is no, it's not tax deductible. Sometimes, or things you can't claim for, well, if it's private or domestic, you can't claim for it. If you've a cleaner, let's say, guys, you're so busy in your own business, you can't keep the house clean, you employ a cleaner. No, a cleaner is not tax deductible. You could argue the business created that, absolutely, but it's still domestic. Things like entertainment or whatever, or clothing. Guys, I'm wearing a shirt and tie out of respect for you. Seriously, out of respect for you. So that's my uniform. Is that tax deductible? No, it's not. I'd need to wear something, wouldn't I? You don't demand I wear a shirt and tie, so that's not tax deductible. So, for example, if you're using clothing in your business, the general rule of thumb is this: the clothing either couldn't be ordinarily worn normally. So let's say it was a heavy protective thing you were wearing. You wouldn't normally wear that, or the clothing is damaged by your business. And if you're familiar with welding or engineering, that would damage your clothing. So yes, clothing for that is tax deductible.
Mike, can I just ask, what about the likes of scrubs and stuff for infection control?
Are they disposed of, sort of?
No, but they have to be washed at a certain temperature.
Would you wear more than one a day?
Normally you would, yeah.
In that case, you probably could, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The fact that you can't put on the uniform at 9 in the morning and take it off at 5 in the evening. So you're saying, yeah, no. But that then would normally, yes, be tax deductible. Let's supposing you have a business and you get a phone call from a client who wants to meet with you and would likely buy a lot from you. And they want to meet with you just to discuss things. You think, great. You arrange the meeting, and the meeting is in Cork. So you drive down to Cork. You have the meeting with this person. It goes very well. You come out. It's late. You realize you're starving. You're really hungry. You buy a coffee and a sandwich in the local garage. You get a receipt. You keep that receipt. Is that tax deductible?
Yeah.
Why, sort of?
Because it's for the purposes of business. You've made that travel for the company.
Now, Sorka, do you think, let's say it's you, let's say, Sorka, you hadn't met that client. Do you think you would have gotten hungry at the end of the day?
Yeah, but you wouldn't have travelled all the way.
So why didn't you bring a sandwich with you? Sorry, that's unfair.
Genuinely, I don't know. Well, you could take the sandwich with you, but because you spent so long with the client, you wanted to get another one. Do you know what I mean?
But from a tax point of view, tax would say, bring your flask and sandwich. Seriously, something like that. No, I agree. I totally agree. But I only went there because of the client. But tax would say, yeah, but you would have eaten during the day anyway. So it wasn't the business. You could have brought a sandwich with you.
What happens if you took the client out, Michael?
Okay, Stalker. Okay, let's say you're no fair point. Let's say you have the meeting. Of course, you'll order your coffee and a biscuit. Whatever. The bill comes. Of course, you say to the client, "Oh, let me get this," kind of thing, and you get the bill. That is not tax deductible. Because, well, first of all, no entertainment is tax deductible. That's for a start, guys. No matter, I'm telling you now, no matter what you hear, believe me, the reason is, it's too difficult to police. Otherwise, we'd all be tempted to put in receipts if we had a friend out for a coffee or whatever, or a meal, and say, yeah, that was a meeting with a client. So they don't allow any of it through. It's just one of those quirks. But Soccer, you're on a roll. So here's a question for you. The same meeting in Cork, Soccer, you come out and you say, oh God, that was a great meeting. Gosh, I'm tired. It's a long drive home from Cork. No, I'm going home in the morning. So you stay overnight in a hotel. You get the receipt, Soccer.
Yeah.
What's your feeling?
There is a way around that. Isn't there? If it's over a certain amount of kilometres, you can, as far as I'm aware.
Now, Soccer, your usual confidence wasn't in your answer there, because you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
And guys, the rule is literally within reason. You may say, well, Michael, my reason and your reason are different. Yeah, well, revenue's reason is the one that holds. You're entitled to say it's not safe, and no, I'm not driving home. I'm going to stay overnight. And then now it applies to everybody, but I'll say this to you girls, you do not need to stay in the cheapest hotel. You have a right to feel safe and secure. Somebody told me, and I do believe her, she gave her tax return, and there was a query raised on her tax return about the stay in juries in Cork. And she wasn't happy with the query, and she wrote back, I'm a woman on my own. Do you expect me to drive around some city I don't know looking for some dive to stay in? Would you do it? Sent that back, and the query was ended.
Yeah, she's 100% right.
She is right, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
No, but guys, what I say is this. I mean, if you're familiar with the Shelbourne, I wouldn't stay in the Shelbourne, But yeah, you're entitled to stay in a reasonable accommodation. So it does not need to be the cheapest place.
In this day and age, there's no hotel to be safe in, unfortunately.
Well, I suppose, Samantha, I say this, and please
a whole
forgive.
other topic, but
No, please forgive this sexist comment. It is easier for men, isn't it?
it is.
It is easier. Yeah, no, I fully accept that.
But look, they're the protectors, aren't they? They were built that way,
It is what it is, guys.
It is what it is.
Guys, now for business and personal, you can split. Okay? Now, don't overcomplicate this. If you have, for example, a home office, you can claim a rent or expenses for your home office. Now, the general rule for a home office is this. If I knocked on your door unannounced and said, can I see your office? You should be able to take me somewhere that is obviously an office. So, guys, let's use myself here, okay? If you come in here now, if you walked in here, as you look at me now, you'd come in to my left, okay? You would see 2 desks, computers, a printer. It's very obviously an office. So, I can claim for that. If I had my laptop on my kitchen table, that would also work, but it's not a home office. But you can charge yourself a rent. You can charge yourself some of your light and heat bill for that home office. Erica.
Oh, what about if you using, let's say, outside, like a storage, like a shed for your equipment or cleaning products?
No, the difficulty, Erica, is this. Now, you would need specific advice, but the difficulty is this. The reason you can charge for your home office is you are depriving yourself. You don't have the use of that room in your home. But often with a shed, they say, well, a shed's a shed. You're not really at a loss in using that shed. Now, if it was, for example, let's say at your home, you had a very big garage and you were using it, you could make the point that if you didn't have that space, you would need to rent somewhere else. but
Я
that
на ньому
tends to be on a
дивлюся, якщо
case-by-case
коли
basis.
засипає
There's
комусь
no
там англійську, щоб
there's no
подивитися
general
на,
rule I can give you on that.
на-
But a house, home office in the house, yes. An
Ты
outbuilding or
подумай,
a
и
shed
там
is more
вот, и
difficult.
скажешь, если нет, я себе вот сюда тоже столик придумаю по
Guys, just to say, there's always the
теории, да,
appropriate.
юзать сразу.
Let's say you're doing pizza delivery, okay? Well, a scooter, maybe a small van or small car would be what you would need, okay? But you buy a red open-top sports car to deliver your pizza. You can still claim an expense for that, but only at the rate of a scooter. So whatever the rate they would give you for a scooter, they'll give you for your red open-top car, because they say the appropriate expense. The point I'm making is this: sometimes people in business might feel, well, sure, I'll buy this, it's tax deductible. I'll buy the best one, or I'll buy the biggest one. Sometimes you can be caught on that revenue will say, well, no, okay, the expense, I'm just picking a figure here, the expense was €1,000, but really, one at €500 would have done perfectly well. So we're only allowing you to do the expense on €500. Not a huge deal, guys, but just be aware of the word appropriate. Was the expense appropriate?
Michael, can I just ask, my sister-in-law is a nail technician, and she got like a log cabin for her business premises and for her back garden. But are you saying that that's not tax deductible?
No, that I would say there would be some tax deductibility there. Now, the easiest thing is she should try and charge herself a rent.
Okay.
Sorry, Donna, to slightly over-answer. You don't want to add value to your home. If you add value to your home, you'll get capital gains tax if you ever sell it. So by charging yourself a rent for the log cabin, you're not adding value to your home. You're just having the expense. But yes, she should be. Sorry, go on, Donna. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask in terms of like courses adding to your business, like education.
Generally speaking, there's no question yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing is, and guys, I'm going to exaggerate, the training must be applicable. So let's say you're a window cleaner. And guys, I'm not making fun of anybody. Let's say you did a flower arranging course. They'd probably argue with that one. They'd say, well, no, that wouldn't fit in with your business. If you're a window cleaner and you did, say, a stress management course, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You get that. Education is normally yes.
So if you have like, let's say business and mindset courses or seminars and stuff, let's say pendulum, is that would be deductible?
Normally, see, Erica, I have to always say normally, because there'll be some case not, but normally yes. But isn't there always a but coming? What they'll say is this: was it reasonable? Yes, it was. Was going to one every month reasonable? They might say, well, no, it's not reasonable to go to one every month, unless, for example, you were doing courses that would lead up to achieving X. In that case, they probably would. But yeah, normally...
Sorry, so it has to be... Sorry, so... I guess mine was like if it adds to your business, but you're saying if it, like you can do a pendulum course for mental health.
Вони ж тобі дають
Just because you're business.
Да, вони кожен
Well,
тиждень
but the thing is, if you went to pendulum, they probably would allow
Інтернет кидають.
that, because you would sell
Додаш
it
мені ці?
as networking or promoting your business.
І так же само завод.
So that's how you would sell it. But it's a once-off. You're not going every week or every month. Yeah.
Ну, клас, ну...
And Donna, can I put it this way, and forgive my slight bluntness, you mentioned your qualification, Donna, so in your case, they would accept that yes, you are adding to your qualifications. It's easier if you are qualified than if you are not have any qualifications, if you take my point.
Okay.
And I wouldn't
Like,
sweat too
so
much.
say I did like a reflexology course or whatever. Like, so I have Reiki and I want to do reflexology, but it's technically similar modality, but it would add to the business.
Donna, sometimes take this in the kindness it's intended. Sometimes ability makes us overanalyze, okay? And you're overanalyzing. What I'd say is this: can you put your hand on your heart and say, I will do that course to help me in my business? It's a yes or a no. If you're
Yeah.
saying yes, it's allowable.
Okay.
And that really is how it works. Donna, just one thing, and guys, sorry, it's a general comment. There's nothing wrong with doing a course, absolutely. I'm just going to pick one, okay? Let's supposing you wanted to do a stress management course, okay? If you're in business, it's worth doing. You see a great one, it's recommended. If that person hasn't registered as a business, you won't be able to claim it. Just bear that in mind, guys. And there must be a business for you to claim that business expense. It's not to say that somebody just doing it for a hobby mightn't be the best in the world. Of course they might be, but you won't be able to claim it as an expense.
що ти приїхав і відкрили нове це відділення.
So it's unlikely to arise,
Та він
but
же був.
Не було, це є одно.
might arise.
Це вони
You mean
розібрали,
registered for tax?
чуть-чуть, понятно, це
Yes.
відділ.
Я за
Yes.
минулу неділю хожу
Sorry, Donna, thank you, Donna. That was just cutting to the chase. Yes, sorry. Actually, Donna, you're right. They must be registered for tax, guys. Sorry, they must be registered. If they're not, it's not. The course might be very good, but it's just the tax deductibility ought to be there, and they should give you a receipt. For no expense exists without a receipt. Just to say, guys, things are different for a company. So the example we had earlier of the sandwich and the coffee, you've got a company that is tax deductible, or tax allowable, we should say. So a company has much more generous allowances and can claim for much more as an expense that a sole trader can't. Think of it, guys. The cardboard box is not you. So the cardboard box is the business. You were acting on behalf of the business, and that's why it can have that expense. So a company has a much more generous allowance. Guys, this next part is memory. Okay, seriously. That is a sole trader. There is money in and money out, the expenses. And what's left over is taxable. Okay, so money in less money out is taxable. From that left over, that's what we pay ourselves. Okay? Now, you might say, guys, I'm keeping the maths very easy for myself. Money in, 20,000. Money out, 10,000. So there's 10,000 left over. Okay? And we say, well, okay, I'm going to pay myself 8,000 and leave 2,000 in the business, which would make sense. Yeah, but you're taxed on the 10,000. You're taxed on the money left over. It's a very simple system. With a company on the same figures, they can decide what to do with the money left over. So, same figures, 20,000 in, 10,000 out, there's 10,000 left over. We can decide what we'll pay ourselves and what the word is declare, what we'll declare as profit. What we pay ourselves, we'll pay tax on at 20 or 40%, and what we declare as profit, we'll pay tax on at 12.5%. So just what you see on screen, guys, is the simplest way to explain the differences between the two. It's money in, less money out, and the difference in a sole trader and a company is how we handle what's left. Sole trader, you pay tax on it all. A company can break it down. So surely, Michael, it's a no-brainer. Form a company. No, seriously, so 12.5%. Just, well, here's my strong advice to you guys. This is the simplest advice I can give you. Money in, less money out. Okay, from a company, yes. What's left? Unless there's enough to declare as profit, it's not worth doing. So, when you run your business, each month, hopefully, you'll have money coming into your bank account. And only when you realize that actually you're starting to build up money in your account. It's not just, I know this is a silly term, guys, but you have more money than you need. Or there's money left over. And I don't mean one good month or 2 good months. I mean, in general, money left over. Only at that point is it worth forming a company. Until there's enough money left over, that figure's down to you, until there's enough money left over, there's no tax advantage. Because if you have a small profit and you pay 12.5% tax, that saving will be wiped out by the extra expenses you'll have in running a company. The accounts are more expensive. The general upkeep is more expensive. So just keep in mind, guys, only when there's more money left over. Did I answer your question, Erica?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Guys, seriously, I'll just go back for a second. Keep that in mind for the difference, but that is the difference between a company and a sole trader. Okay, that genuinely is. And that is the key one. That's when you decide, should I form a company or not? And don't form a company until it's worth doing. That's my advice to you. There's a lot more involved in it. Anybody doing anything artistic? You just raise a hand. No? Arcady, okay. There is in Ireland what we call the artist's tax exemption. So if you are doing something artistic, you can apply for the exemption, and in simple English, you can have sales of up to €50,000 tax-free. You still need to file your tax return, but you don't need to pay any tax on it. Which is great for the first couple of years. Let's be honest, for the first to get going. Now, to simplify this, what they say is this: you must be creating something unique. So you can't just be, say, producing prints or copying somebody else's work. It must be unique. And they use the term cultural or artistic merit. In real English, it must be good. It must be to a level you would say, yeah, that is good. That is real art. It's a simple form you fill in. If you Google tax artist exemption, you get the form. And once you get the form and submit it and are granted it, there's no end date. So once you get it, it is yours. If you are ever applying for the artist tax exemption, my strong advice to you is this: have evidence that you have sold a piece of artwork through 2 different shops or galleries. Remember, guys, the tax office have no idea what's good or bad art. How will they judge? If you've sold through 2 different galleries, you must be fairly good, and that's how they will judge. Guys, just VAT, we're not going to spend long on VAT. VAT is the graveyard of hope, as they say. It's not really, but it sounds more complicated than it is. Guys, simple terms. When you're selling something, there's a tax added to it that you collect and you pass on to the government. So you take it in and you pass it on. Now, the only thing to remember with VAT is this, guys. This is a memory one. You take it in and you pass it on. It's never yours. Don't confuse it with your own money. If you have sales if you're producing something I can touch, so a physical thing, and a painting is a physical thing, you can have sales up to 85,000 and you don't need to register. It's up to you. If you're selling your expertise or your skill or your service, it's 42,500. Below that, you do not need to register. You can register if you want, but you don't need to register. So you can start your business, see how it goes, and then register. But it's roughly €817 per week. But on or above that, you must register. So, simple English, can I touch what you're doing? If it's a yes, 85,000. If I can't touch, like a website, I can't touch a website, for example, it's 42,500. So below those, you don't need to. On or above, you do need to register.
Does that mean in your second year you'd have to register for VAT?
It could be your first year, Donna. If your first year goes really well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair. But is it just within the year if you make on or above 42,000?
Yeah.
500. Okay.
Donna, a fair point you might raise is, but sure, how would you know until the year's over? You know, you don't really know how you've done. Revenue doesn't care. It says you should have known that your sales were this level. So the onus is very much on you. Just to say, guys, with VAT, you charge VAT on all your sales and you claim back the VAT on anything you buy. So just to keep it easy, if you're selling cardboard boxes, you have your price plus the VAT. If you buy a chair for your business, you pay the full price, but you can claim back the VAT. So you claim back the VAT on all you buy for your business. There's loads of different rates, guys. The two important, well, there's three rates really. 23% is the VAT rate on things you can touch. If you're selling something you can touch, is 23%. If you're selling your labor or expertise, it's 13.5. So it's your abilities. There's no physical thing. And you could be zero or VAT exempt. So for example, training, we mentioned training earlier, there's no VAT on training. It would be zero. Certain foods are zero. Medicines, certain books kind of thing, newspapers are zero. So certain things are zero. If you're a shop, a corner shop, that means the cornflakes you sell to the customer have VAT at 23%. The newspaper they buy at the same time has zero VAT. So you can sell different things with different VAT rates. But just, guys, there's lots of other rates out there. They don't matter. But 23 and 13.5, they are generally speaking, that's about 95% of all VAT rates are those. If you can touch it, 23. If you can't, 13.5. It's section C on form Tier 1, guys. That's how you register for VAT. Section C. Do not do it on your own. Without going into detail, the VAT laws in the EU have changed. Okay? VAT is now charged in the country where the sale. Give me. Sorry, even I get confused with this. The VAT rules have changed. In simple English, there's lots of sections under VAT, under section C on the form. Somebody who's used to it will do it in jig time. If we were doing it, it gets very complicated. So just get help with it. In simple terms, guys, once you're VAT registered, you have a total selling price. And in that price, there's the part that you keep and the part the government keeps. If you're charging VAT at 23%, my cardboard boxes, I will charge you €24.60 for that cardboard box. You pay me €24.60, I keep €20 and I pass on €4.60 to the government. That's the VAT element. For a window cleaner, I charge you €22.70 to clean your windows. You pay me, I keep the €20, and the government, I pass on the €2.72. Sorry, in English, I pass on the €2.70. You collect and you pass on the VAT. That is how it works, guys. Now, if you buy something and you're VAT registered, you claim back the VAT. So you pay the full price. Here's the important part to remember. You get a VAT receipt. You must get a VAT receipt. The ordinary till receipt will not do. You buy something you pay the full amount, you get the VAT receipt, and then you claim the VAT part back from the government. So you will get that money back. So you charge and you claim back the VAT. How does it work, guys? Very briefly, you charge VAT, you keep a record, you pay VAT, you keep those receipts. And every 2 months, it's okay, Donna, I find VAT boring as well. Every 2 months, January, February, March and April, you account the VAT you've taken in, you've charged, the VAT you've paid out, you subtract what you've one from the other, and that's what you owe the government or what the government owes you. And it's the 19th of the following month. Just put to memory that it's always the 3rd month, and it's the 19th. How do I memorize this?
I have a question.
Sorry, Thomas, yes.
On this. So let's say we open a business and there is initial investment to the business, yeah?
Yeah.
But we're not VAT registered yet. Let's say the business runs for 6 months, the threshold is passed through, then you have to register. Are you able to claim back on that investment?
No, Tomas. The only way around that would be 3 months or about 90 days. If you start your business and it's doing really well, remember the registration form asks you, when did you start your business? So you put that date in. So you've gone for 3 months, it's going really well, you've invested in your business, and you put your start date back 3 months. So yes, you can claim that VAT back, but
it's only 2 months, isn't it?
But Thomas, remember, they'll also say, okay, the sales for those 3 months, you should have collected VAT. You owe that VAT.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always a catch to it. Now, Tomas, if you're asking for a friend, okay, if your friend could get that company to not issue the VAT receipt straight away, so issue the VAT receipt with a later date on it, it makes no difference to them at all. You've paid the VAT, they're totally in the clear, but with that later date, you could bring that receipt in. They're not going to go back and check. But that's for your... And again, guys, if you start a business, you may say, well, my prices need to go up. You know, if you suddenly register for VAT, I'm talking about putting on 23%. What revenue would say is this. When you start your business, guys, yes, you will need to add VAT to your prices, but everything you buy for your business will go down by 23%. So the savings that you make on all your expenses should cancel out any rise that you would have to make. Does it work in reality? Generally, yes, it does, to be honest. Especially if you're a window cleaner or selling a service, because you're charging 13.5%, but you're claiming back 23%. So if you register as a window cleaner, and you're charging VAT at 13.5%, you still claim back the VAT at 23% if you've paid it. You know, it's just, the question is, did you pay VAT? Yes, no. If yes, you can claim that VAT back. Guys, here's one. If you want to get one tattoo, get this. I really mean this. You cannot make a profit out of VAT. It is physically impossible. Some months, if you've bought lots of goods, you may think you're going to make a profit. You're not. It is physically impossible. It's designed that way. So we won't bring up any scenarios, guys, okay? I'm not being smart saying that. It's physically impossible, okay? The system is designed for the government to collect and get a tax. You cannot make a profit out of it. And it's a very, very short story, forgive me. Somebody, he wasn't a window cleaner, but it was a similar business. He started off with a very, very cheaply. It went well. He bought a van. He claimed back the VAT on the van, as you're entitled to do. There's an awful lot of VAT, on a van. He got a lot of money in. Worked for roughly 2 years and thought, if I don't go to Australia now, I'm never going to go. So he decides to go to Australia, deregisters, whatever. He paid all his VAT and then gets a VAT bill. And he contacted revenue to say, hold on, I've paid all my VAT. There's a mistake here. He said, no. In your business, the difference between the VAT you paid and the VAT you claimed back is this. He claimed back more than he paid. The van, you see. The van was a huge amount. So you have to pay that. You have to bring your VAT bill to zero. So just, guys, you know, sometimes in business, you claim back VAT, you think happy days. It doesn't work that way. Just take that on board. You'll always end up owing VAT.
Michael, I have a small question. Can I use accounting, maybe if I have a small business, can I use accounting?
When you say accounting, you mean accountant?
Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely. And I would strongly advise that, because they would handle your VAT while juggling at the same time. You know what I mean? Seriously, it would be so simple to them. So guys, do not try and do VAT on your own. Seriously, get someone to do this for you, and you focus just on sales for your business.
And second question, it must be 100% Irish, or I can use from another country?
You mean sales-wise?
Can you one more time, please?
When you say 100%, do you mean of the sales? Your sales from
something. It's very expensive, you know, accounting in Ireland. But I know if from East Europe we have cheap, very cheap, you know, something use.
Yes. No. Can you use them? Yes, you can.
Oh, good.
Okay. But they won't. Sorry, if you're a sole trader, they won't recognize them for a company. They must be. I forget. There's. In Ireland, guys, you'll often see your accountant has letters after their name. They're not boasting, they're letting you know they have those letters after their name. And to be registered to be treated as a full accountant, they must have those letters after their name. So they would normally need to be in Ireland.
Thank you.
Guys, if you're ever VAT registered, open a VAT account in your bank. It's a simple deposit account. Your bank is well used to it, and every time you get a payment, put the VAT element into that account. So if somebody pays you €123 and you're VAT registered, straight away transfer €23 to your VAT account, and that way when it comes to pay your VAT, the worst case scenario, you have the exact amount. Okay, so just that separate VAT account. Do not leave it in your ordinary business account, because it will confuse you over how much money you actually have. guys, I did go through that quickly. Not really, I just wanted to give you a very base overview on it. This is something you'll get someone to do for you. Okay, that's really all I would say. And just talking about, get customers first. If you don't have customers, that won't be an issue. Please believe me. So it's get customers first. Now, welfare entitlements. Just two things, guys, about PRSI. When you employ somebody, or if you employ somebody, just keep in mind there is a cost to employing somebody. So if you employ somebody and you agree to pay them €100 per week, that's what you'll pay them, yes, but you also have to pay the employer's contribution. So the rates change, guys, and it's complicated. It depends where they're unemployed beforehand, various things. Just keeping the rule of thumb, the very rough rule of thumb, it costs 10% extra to employ somebody. So whatever you're paying them, it costs you as the employer 10% extra. It's between 8.8 and 11%, so 10% extra. So just guys, that's all you need to know. It costs money to employ somebody, roughly 10%. Now, when you're a sole trader, you have the PRSI contribution. It's called Class S for Sierra, and that is when you become a sole trader, guys, it is free to become a sole trader. Now, the only expense is roughly, it costs you €12 per week to be a sole trader. That is your PRSI contribution. Now, €12 per week is not much, but you pay it in one go, which is €650. So it's different. When you pay that contribution, it protects some of your welfare entitlements. It used to be you lost all welfare entitlements when you became a sole trader. Now you don't. You retain some. So now, I don't want to overcomplicate this. When you register as a sole trader, you become liable for your contribution. If you have had a very poor year with very poor sales, depending on your level of sales, they will not make you pay it. So they will not make you pay it. And that can go on, guys, forever. Seriously, if you have very poor years, you do not need to pay it. They will give you the option to pay it if you want to. So even though you don't need to, you can opt to pay it. And I would always suggest that you do. It does protect your welfare entitlements. If you don't pay it, say, for 3 or 4 years, they'll allow you to pay 3 years in arrears. Let's say year 1, 2, and 3 are slow to take off. Sales aren't great. In year 4, finally things take off. They'll allow you to back pay your contribution. So I always suggest strongly, if you can pay it, to pay it. It does bring benefits, guys. Without going into detail, it will make the difference between contributory and non-contributory. The difference financially is very little, about €5 normally, but contributory means you will get this payment. Non-contributory means they will means test you. They'll see what money you have or what assets you have. So at the most basic level, it's certainly worth doing it for that. So I always say, guys, if you can, pay your PRSI contribution. Sorry. Any questions? Sorry, I know that's a lot to take in.
Michael, I'm just wondering, how's it work if you are on job seekers allowance and you're starting a job? Would you know how that would work, like being a sole trader?
No. Please, Sarah, forgive this next comment. I have a slide on that. I don't think I have it today, so I'll verbalise that today, but don't worry, I will come back to it, so you don't need to memorise it all now. If you're unemployed, it's good news, seriously, because you can apply for the Back to Work Enterprise Allowance Scheme. And in simple English, the Back to Work Enterprise Allowance Scheme, sorry, I will explain this further with the slide, means you retain all benefits plus all money you're receiving for a year, all benefits and 75% of your money for your second year. And there's also a grant available of €2,000. So it's nice, Sarah, to get some bit of good news about these things. But in short, yes, and it's a good pathway into becoming a sole trader. And if, Sarah, to over answer, at the end of 2 years, you said to yourself, you know what, it's not for me. You know, I've tried it, not to it. You go back without any punishment. You know what I mean? There's no downside to doing it. But say I will come back to that again.
Thank you.
Guys, in business, there are things you need to. Sorry, Donna, go on. Sorry.
In terms of income, then would you put your social welfare in your income?
Donna, can we hold that? Because Donna, please forget this next comment. I have a slide on that coming up. No, it's a good question. It's a good question. That's why I have a slide coming up. Guys, most of this morning, okay, you just need a very overall awareness. That's all. You don't need to memorize it, and don't try and memorize it. What do you need to memorize? You cannot make a profit out of that. If you just take that, guys, seriously. Another thing we've covered, just in mind, if I employ somebody, there's a cost beyond just what I pay them. You know, there is that cost to employing people. It's not huge, guys. It's not huge, but again, you know, it's good to be aware of it. And the most important one to remember is, even if sales are zero, I must make a return. I must make that return by October 31st. I can say zero, they'll accept zero, but I must make the return. That's all, guys. The rest really is just to have an awareness. Guys, how to keep financial records, okay? I'm going to look at a very simple, highly effective system, and this works. Now, there is a duty, guys. There is a duty to record money in and money out. So money in and money out. And we do that for two reasons. Well, first of all, for ourselves, but also we do it for revenue. Okay? So, sorry guys, I should have done this. If I don't call your name out, yesterday I called one of you out, you didn't, I didn't call you out, you didn't remember. So, I have putting on his reading glasses. No. Sorry guys, I have two glasses. I have reading and screen glasses. So, I'm going to call your name. I have Arkady, I have David, Donna, Erica, Guillermo, Lucas, Mariana, Paul Russell, Samantha and Samantha, Sarah, Sean, Sorka, and Tomaz. Is there anybody I didn't call out? Okay, thanks guys. They give out to me for the roll call. Guys, the most important thing in business is receipts. An expense does not exist without a receipt. I'm serious. It doesn't matter how much you spent. You have no receipt. That did not happen from a tax point of view. So it's really important to get receipts. Now, receipts tend to get lost. We're human. And receipts fade. If you've ever come across a receipt, guys, from months ago, you'll know just how faded it is. Can I strongly suggest you photograph your receipts? Whenever you get a receipt, just take your phone out and photograph it. Revenue will accept that. Okay? Now, as you know, guys, with your phone, it will, even if the phone will give you the date. Cheapers, guys, if you have the GPS turned on, it'll tell you where you were when you photographed it. But don't forget things like pay parking. If you're in business and you have pay parking, photograph the pay parking ticket. They don't give you receipts. For a bus ticket, because if you get a bus somewhere, photograph the bus ticket. Now, I am being literal with this next comment. My own bus company doesn't give receipts. You get on, you pay, you get in, you get off. Photograph the bus. I'm literal. Photograph the bus. It's a record that you spent on that day. But it's really important, guys. Remember, money in, less money out. But keep a copy of your receipts. Now, bookkeeping works on a principle that you have a bank account that you use for your business. Okay? Now, ideally, you would have a separate bank account. You do not need a business account. They are separate. You can have a separate personal account, and my suggestion to you is do not open a business bank account on day one. It's more expensive and you don't need it. And trust me, if your account gets very busy, the bank will tell you quick enough that you need to change that to a business bank account. So you have your bank account. Now, you can use your personal account, guys. There's nothing wrong with using your personal account. It complicates things slightly, but not greatly. But you must have a bank account that you use for your business. And your bank statements are the key. We take those items. That's what goes into your books. Okay? The system we're talking about, that's what goes into your books. Now, do be sure, guys, you have a copy of your bank statements. If you have electronic banking, they are available online. Remember, not all your bank statements. So, for example, let's just take August. When we came to September and your August bank statement became available, normally your August statement from 3 years ago went off the system. You can't access it. So once a year, you need to go on and download all your bank statements and save a copy. Now, so what do we need to do to keep books, guys? Well, you can do it manually or on a computer or whatever. When I say on a computer, I do not mean accounting software, okay? You can get what they call analysis books. You can get them you can get them on Amazon. You can get them on most of the supply shops. Can I just draw your attention? Can you see under analysis book, it says 14 column. You can get all different numbers, okay? And you want a reasonably high number. 14 is quite good. So a 14 column would be ideal. Now, accounts or bookkeeping, guys, are laid out like this. That's a simple one page. Now, this is quite simple. We'll take it step by step. There are two parts to it. There is the transaction and the analysis. So transaction and analysis. Now, I'll make them bigger, don't worry. The transaction side is simply what happened. Okay, just literally what happened. So the date, the description. Reference means, was there a reference? For example, if your bank statement had showed a reference number beside that transaction, you would show it. But it could also be, for example, if you pay something by debit card, you might write down DC for debit card. If it's a direct debit, you may use DD for direct debit. It just means that when you look at this page, you know how that was paid. And then the total amount. So how much was it for? Now, I will do some examples, guys, don't worry. But just when, what, how was it paid, how much. That's what we do here. And then we move over, guys, to the analysis side. This is important. You decide on the headings here. You sit down and think, okay, in my business, where do I think I'm going to spend money? Under what headings? And you just, now guys, this is down to you. It doesn't matter. But you think, okay, just the headings. Personal always goes on the far right. It means we can find it. Seriously, that's why we put it there. Personal goes on the far right. And I suggest something like overhead or general or sundries, whichever you like, just for the things that happen occasionally or don't deserve their own heading or whatever, okay? And then you think, where else would I be spending money? A useful way to work these out is to look at your bank statement and see, well, where did I spend money? Where was the money going out? And take your headings from that. In the example here, I just picked petrol, transport, loan, promotion, advertising, mobile phone, internet, and raw materials. So again, that's where I'm going to spend money along with overheads. So we have transaction and analysis. And we take our bank statement and we go down our bank statement and we transfer each one across to our books, if you like. Now you may think, well, Michael, why would you need to? Sure, if they're on the bank statement, why would you need to? Well, just put it up on screen. Often, guys, you'll see something like Vodafone, €25, direct debit, or ATM withdrawal, €100. Now just think for a moment, how would we know what that is? It could be for anything. So we take them, and on the second, mobile phone bill, DD for direct debit, €25. And under the analysis, we're saying, well, that was for my mobile phone or internet, €25. The ATM withdrawal of €100 is drawings. Remember, wages are what we pay somebody else. Drawings are what we pay ourselves. I know, if it's only us, does it really matter? Well, it's good to use the right terms. So on the drawings, debit card, I could have written ATM, use a debit card, €100, and under personal. I'll put up two more, guys. Often you might see ABC Limited, on your bank statement. If you've ever bought from Mr. Price on your bank statement, it does not say Mr. Price. I can't remember the name of the company, but it's a strange name.
Yeah, I bought something yesterday. It's like Kajuli or something.
It is, yeah, and at least, Donna, that was yesterday. Say in 6 months' time, Donna, what was that? It's very hard to remember just what it was. So, on this here, guys, in the fourth, it was raw materials, paid by debit card, €250, and under raw materials. Now, you can all see your screen. How would you write in that last one on the 6th? I'm not asking you to tell me. I'm just asking you for yourself. Just go across the columns. How would you write that in? One or two slightly quizzical looks because there's no heading, is there? The others were easier. We had a heading for them. Overhead. So again, it's the 6th. Electric bill, because what does ESB mean? DC for debit card, totals €100, and then the overhead, but it is €100. And guys, keeping books is as simple as taking your bank statement and itemizing the transactions over. We don't need to complicate this. Now, I just picked random transactions to put them in. I would imagine at first it'll appear too small on your screen. Don't worry, there's no catch. I'm just saying that over a month, it'd be something like that, you know, obviously probably more. That's fine. We've accounted for them. The magic starts, guys, when we total them. Okay? Now I'll make that bottom line larger. I promise you, in your business, at times you will scratch your head and say, I have sales, where's the money going? I don't understand. How can I sell this much and have no money? And that's, guys, why we do this. We can go back and compare month on month and simply see where are we spending the money. And very quickly, if you get 2 or 3 of these, you can say, hold on, I didn't realize I was spending so much there. I need to sort that out. Just from simply, guys, going down the bank statement and transferring across. So we don't need to complicate this. Recording income, guys, you'll notice looks very similar. Again, transaction analysis. Now, guys, this one's really important. Really important. Transaction is exactly the same. When, what was it, how was it paid, and how much? Just exactly the same. Now, on the bank account that you use for your business, money will come into it. Okay? And it's the law that any money that comes in, pardon this thing, must be accounted for. It may not be taxable. Let's say, for example, guys, to exaggerate, let's say you have your bank account using it for business. We are friends. You meet me out one night. I say, gosh, can you help me out? I left my wallet at home. She be like, I have no money. And you say, well, Asha, hold on. Here's €100. And you give it to me. Okay? I said, thank you. Weekend, I said, listen, you're a star. Thank you. For some reason, I had your bank details. I've transferred that €100 back to you. Thanks very much. It's reasonable. You lent me €100. I give it back. Your bank account will now show €100 coming in. You must account for that. So sales are always the first column. Always the first column. I would suggest from savings is a good one to have. From savings, maybe grant if you hope to get one. You may not. And then you think, where else might money come from? We mentioned earlier on maybe a social welfare payment. You must show that in your account. If you have a part-time job and they pay you into that account, you're not going to be taxed on it, but you must show that money came in. And sometimes you might get a refund if you bring something back, and so we put in refund. But guys, here's the golden rule on bookkeeping. Any money that comes in to your account or into your business, you must show it. They don't care about the money you spend, because the money you spend will lower your tax bill, so they won't worry about that. But money in must. On this, guys, I just put in randoms. It doesn't matter what they are. Okay, I'll just put them all in. J. Smith, we used the invoice number for the reference, the total, and that was sales. So we marked the sales in there. From savings, look at it, guys. It will just say lodgement on our statement. That was from savings. The lodgement has a number, €1,000. Then we put it in from savings, and we got a grant from the local enterprise office. So grant for website. The transfer always has a number again on your bank statement. Use that number, €3,000 and €3,000. What's so important here, guys, is this. If you just looked at your bank account, you took in €4,500 this month. Happy days. but how much of that is repeatable? And more importantly, how much of that is taxable? Books were showing only €500 is taxable. The rest, savings are not taxable, and a grant is not taxable. And that's why it's important that we go through our bank statement and lay these out. Because revenue has a very, very simple principle, guys. Money in, less money out. If it sees money in and we don't tell them what it is, they'll say, well, that was money in. So it's really, that's why it's so important. Also, for ourselves, guys, how much can we repeat? Well, on this, only €500. Now, these are all made up figures, guys. It's all made up, so I know they don't make sense. When you put them both together, you get a very clear picture on how you're doing month by month. On April, we spent €918, and we took in 4,500, okay, but only €500 of that was actually sales. So in the example here, €418, who's paying for that? We're spending more than we're taking in. So again, guys, just going down the bank statements, very, very good, solid information, and very simple. So we take each transaction and we transfer it across. There's an obvious weakness here, guys. What about cash? I've said the bank statement. What about cash? Cash we record more simply. You have your cash transactions and you just list them. The date, the description, and the total. These are things like, guys, the notebook, the bus to town, the staples for your stapler, those kind of things. I looked up my accounts for my last year's accounts. My cash spending was over €600. So just over €10 per week. That's €600 deducted from the amount that's taxable. So it's really important that we don't lose these receipts or whatever. I would suggest to you for your business, if you're familiar with Revolut, if you're not, Revolut is an app that you download to your phone, you link it to your bank account, and they will give you a card free of charge. You can put money from your account onto that card, and then you tap it as you go. But it does keep a good record of it, and it's great for being able to, guys, for the cash spending in your business, for the parking or the bus ticket or whatever, use your Revolut. This morning, guys, I bought a paper, €3.40. I used the Revolut. It's a free transaction. So, very, very simple way to handle your cash spending. Now, guys, I know it's not the most riveting, but stay with me here. This is the important one. Your journeys. Don't forget your journeys. Any journey that you use for business is tax deductible. Now, it used to be that you would just tell it or declare your total kilometres at the end of the year, and they would allow it. The revenue are getting very, very tight on this. They really are. So you need something like this, a car journey kilometre log, and you fill in the details. Now, if we start at the top, it should be your own car or a car you have control on. In simple English, guys, if you're in a relationship, okay, and you have the one car which you both use, but it's in your partner's name, okay, that's fine. That's allowable. But for example, if you borrowed your sister's car or a friend's car, you can't claim allowance for that. But any journey you take, the date, the starting point, the destination, the purpose, and the kilometres, then you add up your kilometres and you can claim an allowance for each of those kilometres. It depends on your business. It's not just your petrol or diesel, guys. It's the fact let's just take the first one. You're 170 kilometres nearer to your next service. Your tyres are worn out by 170 kilometres. all those things. So it's an allowance. It's an allowance for that. So again, it could be anywhere from between. I've heard people. Well, if you do very low kilometers, it's about 40 cents per kilometer. On very high journeys, you can get it over €1. So it certainly is worth keeping account of. Now, guys, let's supposing. Here's a question. You want to go in and get some photocopying done in RD, okay? But you know what? I'll drop the kids off to school at the same time, so why not tie them both in? So in the car, out, drop the kids off, get the photocopy and come home. Does that affect our allowance? The school run? No, it doesn't. Now, just to state, if you were doing it every morning and claiming, they may raise a question, but don't worry. Or if you go into, say, guys, you do some photocopying and you pop into Aldi, it doesn't matter. So long as the journey was there and you can prove it. In this case, there would be a receipt for the photocopying. You don't always need to have a receipt. So if you had a meeting, let's say you had a meeting with a customer, let's say in Cork, the one we spoke about. They're not going to give you a receipt for that or whatever. No, that is allowable. It would never happen, but in theory they could contact and verify from the person that you met, but they'll normally allow it. Supposing the meeting was a disaster, there was no sale, that doesn't matter. You're allowed to have meetings that don't work out. But it's really important, guys. You must keep the money in and money out. You do not need to record your cash payments or journeys. You don't. But that's where you make money, I suppose. Maybe to put it crudely. So I'd always encourage you to not forget those. They tend to be forgotten. That's really what I would say. Now, I know, guys, it hasn't been an easy morning, but just very, very briefly, taking card payments for small business, how do you do it? What's the cheapest way to do it? And what I'll say is this: there are many systems out there, many available. The two I'd recommend are either SumUp or Square. It's okay, Donna, I'll be finished now in a minute or two, so I'm just teasing, sorry. I'll be finished, on these. If you're not familiar, guys, if you're not familiar, they both take cash payments. They're both very easy and cheap to set up. The cheapest way that I know to be able to take cash payments is SumUp. Okay, if you buy that terminal that you see there, you can buy it in Curry's, Harvey Norman, or online. I suggest Google SumUp Ireland. You buy that terminal, you download the app. The app will tell you how to link to the terminal and how to link to your bank account. If I come and buy from you, you simply start the app, you key it in, what the amount is. It'll give you the option to type in what it is. So say you put in €114, you could type in training or window cleaning or whatever there, and then charge. If you see, you can just make it the charge button at the bottom. When you do that, the terminal lights up. They put their card in. They can tap their card below €50, put their card in and put in to key in their number, and the app will go green or red. Green has gone through, red it hasn't. If you want to issue a receipt, you can text them a receipt or email them a receipt. Either one. And if they change their mind and want to refund, you go back into the app and there's a button called refund. Just hit refund and it'll refund the money. Very, very simple, guys. Very, very easy. When I looked at this, it was €29 for the small terminal. So €29 plus 1.8%. 1.8% on every sale. That's the credit card company. It's not actually SumUp. And if you go somewhere and they tell you there's no commission, they're lying. You're paying it somehow, guys. There's always that charge. Square are in the game too, guys. I think Square have a cheaper terminal, but the one on the left there, you'll see a little printer in it. So that's very handy. You can just literally print out the receipt. It works the same as SumUp. And if you had a coffee shop or whatever, the one on the right just takes a tablet and has a bigger screen. But again, they're very trustworthy. They do not normally pay you instantly. It's normally the next day. So they keep your money overnight. Guys, I'm on time. If you can be very patient with me, I'll be very, very quick, guys. Just think about your ideal customer and who you're making for. That's one of the key things. What are your features, advantages, and benefits, and how will your customer know about you? Now, I will, of course, send on the handouts, but there'll be one extra one marked important. If you have access to a printer, I would strongly suggest you print it out. If you don't, if you could sketch it out just for next week, guys. One was your customer. And the good news, cash flow is the easiest financial tool to use. That's really what I would say. Now, don't go just for a second. Don't go for a second. Donna, if you could hang on just for a minute. And so you can all hang on. Donna, you asked a good question yesterday about selling a service or things you can't see. I put 1 or 2 slides together because I have no life and need to get out more. So I just run through. It'll take 4 or 5 minutes. That's all. I just thought you might find it of use. Guys, if you want to stay on, you're more than welcome. I say it'll take about 4 or 5 minutes. It's on selling a service. If you have to go, I fully understand, guys, and I'll see you all again on next Tuesday. But sorry, Donna, it was just what you mentioned about selling. I suppose, guys, what about if you are selling the intangible, something that you can't see? This can be training or counselling or something like that. So you can't say, I'll clean your windows. Now, I can't give details. I didn't actually have our full permission, but this is an example from a real company that used this very successfully. Okay, and again, guys, prepare to be underimpressed. I'm serious. What to say is this: there's always a buying cycle. Okay, so without going through every heading, guys. Okay, we get the need, we search for information, those kind of things, and the point in here, guys, when you're selling the intangible, this takes longer. If you're selling a window cleaning service, it's quite quick. It's quite, from showing to buying is quite quick. When you're selling something like this, it's longer. And the key point here is, so it's important to start the process as soon as possible. That's really what we would say. But what's often overlooked with selling any training or personal is we overlook the current state. So we say, I am aiming my sale at people who have this problem or this difficulty. So we still say, well, they know what their problem is or their difficulty is, and we tend to ignore it. And for sales, no, it's really important that we clarify what the current state is. Where is that person? It's vital that we start to build empathy and understanding. And the way to build empathy and understanding is to show that we fully understand where that person is now. So what she said to me was that this is what built her business, focusing on the current state. People really knew that she understood where they were and what the term she used was their pain point was. But again, guys, I'm repeating, we tend to overlook this or take it as read. If somebody has a broken arm, we say, well, you have a broken arm. I mean, what more can I say? It's a broken arm. No, we need to outline the difficulties that's causing and spend a lot of time here. We then have to talk about the desired state. Where are we going? what will be this desired state that we want to get to? And we must not just saying we can solve this or it'll be okay. Very vivid, clear and attractive picture with the real benefits outlined. Okay, we really got to outline this. And what she said, the key thing is the desired state, it must be so attractive that the benefits so great that it becomes impossible to ignore. Often we say, oh yeah, guys, if someone said to me, I'm going to be very blunt here, Michael, you need to lose weight. I would agree. Okay, I would say absolutely, yeah, that's a no-brainer. You know, Michael, it's good for your health. Absolutely, you should do it. But yeah, so the desired state is that I'm thinner. Well, yeah, there's been no picture painted. We've got to paint that picture. You've got to and make it so attractive that I can't ignore it. Gosh, Michael, if you join me on this program, what will happen is, and I'd be, oh God, yeah, absolutely. We've really got to get there. And then be very clear about the journey and commitment. Guys, to sell the intangible, we can't hide things. We can't say no problem. The journey and the commitment required. We get the buy-in here. And then we just outline the steps. Nobody climbs a mountain from start to finish. There are stages where we can rest or recuperate or see our progress. But at each stage, we need to know the goals we've achieved and the clear client value. So we're going to get to the desired state by doing A, B, and C. Sorry. But the key thing is trust and credibility. For selling, guys, the intangible, it's you that's being sold or you that's being bought. So you've got to really build great trust and credibility in you and build a relationship. But also build a difference. You know, that you are the expert. You are the best. You are the one that can sort this out. Otherwise, go somewhere else. You know, it's very easy to do that. So in short, what she said was, accept that sales take longer, but you've got to build, sorry, I actually didn't put it in there, sorry, it will take longer, but you've got to clarify the current state. You've got to really show that you understand. A vivid picture of the desired state, achievable steps, trust and credibility, show why you're different, but importantly, you've got to become the expert. You've got to become the trusted expert. When you become the trusted expert, it's much more difficult for a customer to leave. That's really what she would say. Because otherwise, what she said was, it's very easy to do all this work and then somebody else who's cheaper gets the job. So sorry guys, I know some of that was very obvious. I know I may have been telling you about what you know already. I will pop those slides in. It's just a system that somebody's using and it works for them. And I'm a great believer in not reinventing the wheel, guys. If we can find something that works and they're willing to share it, let's use it. Guys, you've been very patient. I do appreciate it. Definitely, because somewhere in the world, it's evening. It's time for a beer. All the best, guys. I'll see you next Tuesday. I'll see you then. All the best. Bye.
Yeah.